So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Earlier in March, the Labour Party in the United Kingdom announced that they're looking at big changes to discrimination laws if they win in the next general election. So, we're going to talk about today what these changes look like and how they could impact people in the United Kingdom. First off, a little bit of backstory here. There is the Equality Act of 2010. It replaced and consolidated previous anti-discrimination laws in the United Kingdom, including the Race Relations Act of 1976, the Disability Discrimination Act of 1995, and the Sex Discrimination Act of 1975, among others. The Equality Act, protects individuals from discrimination based on 9 protected characteristics. They're the ones that you might have heard about in the United States. They're age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage, civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief, sex, and sexual discrimination. Furthermore, this act prohibits various forms of discrimination, including direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, harassment, and victimization based on any of these protected characteristics. In addition, it's kind of like I think it's Title Five of the United States Civil Rights Act as a public sector duty. The act also introduced a public sector equality duty requiring public authorities to consider how their policies and practices might affect people with different protected characteristics. And finally, on the private sector side, it requires organizations to adhere to the Act's provisions regarding discrimination in employment, provisions of goods and services, and other areas. So the Labour Party in the United Kingdom wants to take the protections under the Equality Act of 2010 to equal pay, allowing for equal pay claims on the basis of ethnicity as well as disability. So they are wanting to expand that discussion and wanting to expand and extend the protections to them. In addition, and so what that would do, it sounds real great, but it's not exactly a correct science. I mean, if people feel that they've been paid unfairly because of their race, they can already bring a claim. And extending equal pay protection to ethnicities wouldn't be that easy because the laws now are notoriously complex, and there's a number of hoops and legal tests that claimants must actually satisfy. And so as a result, comparing jobs of equal value is very difficult for the claimants involved, and this sort of morass of rules makes a real difficulty for these people. In addition, this wants big employers to publish ethnicity and disability pay gaps, and that's the new change that labor is looking for, is that you have to publish these pay gaps. And making the pay gap reporting mandatory would be a big change, but it is still a problem, just like with gender pay gaps. Finding the right comparators to make sure that people are being judged equally in this context is going to be important and very difficult. And speaking from an HR perspective, I frequently have people who are always comparing themselves to other jobs, and they find that this job is more complicated or less complicated. And I can imagine a world where people try to make those similar claims and have a very strong difficulty. In addition, what labor is proposing is to have, quote, dual discrimination to improve the intersectionality that's already occurring, and that would give workers the right to make discriminations on the basis of having 2 protected characteristics. So if it's a older black man, they don't need to bring 2 separate claims alleging discrimination on the bias of each protected characteristic. Instead, they could simply say, this is one single thing. And it's not clear how this would actually widen the protections that are already in place. People have, brought claims in the past anyway. So I really doubt that this represents a huge change for United Kingdom employers. But let's talk about the potential here, right? So these the problem is that the devil is very much in the details with respect to these proposals. It's unclear if the companies will actually compare the right jobs to the right jobs. And, in many circumstances, for example, one job has no other comparators. And so the idea that you can, simply do this sort of reporting and make it right, make it make sense is very difficult, and I think is not something that I would envy United Kingdom employers, because I think that this sort of reporting just opens itself up to a lot of debate, and something that's just one more problem that the management will need to deal with, and the jury is still out as to whether or not this improves literally anything. I mean, I need to see the data. We heard that repeatedly over the last 4 years, that you needed to see the data and you needed to work with the science, but I haven't seen that these sort of laws actually provide them. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.